Word Level 1, Creating a Letter. In this short video, you'll learn how to create and save a letter in Word, and you'll also learn how to access the templates in Word that will make it even easier for you to create a letter. You're now viewing a sample of the letter you will create, and let's talk about the parts in that letter. Notice that the sender's address is at the top, followed by the date, the recipient's address, the greeting line, the body of the letter, the closing, and then your name. Also notice that this letter is in a block format. Block format means that each line of the document is left aligned, or aligned to the left margin. Also notice that paragraph spacing is used in this document. Each time the Enter key is pressed, the insertion point moves down a little more than one line on the page. We can see the paragraph spacing between the sender's address and the date and the recipient's address and greeting line. And then as the letter continues, you will continue to see the paragraph spacing. Note, after Sincerely Yours, the Enter key was pressed 2 times, and that creates extra paragraph spacing for a signature. Also notice in the address between the lines there is not paragraph spacing. You'll find that in both the sender's address and the recipient's address. And you will learn that in most parts of the letter you'll press the Enter key to create paragraph space, but within the addresses you will not want that extra paragraph space, and you will use the no spacing style. Now that we've learned about the letter, I'll create a new document and then I'll show you how to key the information in the letter. I'm now ready to create a new document. When Word is opened, a new document displays. If you've created a document and saved it in Word and you need to create another new document, you would move to the File tab and click, and then click New, move to Blank Document, and double-click. When you create a new document, 1-inch margins are set. That's referred to as 1-inch margins all around, meaning a 1-inch margin on the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. I will begin keying the letter. I'll begin with the sender's name. Next, I'll press the Enter key. As we had discussed in the other letter, each time you press the Enter key, a little more than one line is created in your document, and that is called paragraph spacing. So I will continue to press the Enter key 1 time as I key the letter, and I'm moving to the next part of the letter. Also note that I'm pressing the space bar 1 time between words, as well as between the state and the zip code. When I begin to type the date, Word will automatically fill in the current date, and if I press Enter and then press Enter again, I will have added the date and moved to the next part of my letter. I do also want you to understand that each time the Enter key is pressed in Word, you have created a paragraph. It may be more natural for you to refer to each part of the address as lines of the address, for example, the name and the address. In Word terminology, those are actually paragraphs. If I move into the paragraph group and click on the Show Hide Paragraph button, I can see marks that indicate that each part of the address is a paragraph because each part of the address ends with a paragraph mark. I have turned this on just for demonstration purposes. The Show Hide Paragraph marks do not print, but they're used to give kind of a behind the scenes look at the document so that the user can see where the Enter key was pressed as well as where the space bar was pressed. That's represented by the tiny dots that you see between each word. Sometimes it's helpful to turn this function on to understand where you've pressed the Enter key and where you have spaced in case there may be errors in your document. I don't normally use this function, so I'm going to turn it back off by going into the paragraph group and clicking Show Hide Paragraphs. And notice that I'm pressing one space between each word. I'm also pressing one space between the state and the zip code. If you learned to create a letter a few years back, you may have learned to double space between the state and the zip code, but the correct method now is just to space one time. So I'm going to press the Enter key again, and now I'll type the greeting line. Notice I'm going to type a colon after that. That is the most up-to-date way to end your greeting line. It used to be with a comma. You can still use a comma, but I want to use the most up-to-date method as I'm teaching you. So next I'm going to type the paragraph, and as I type, I want you to understand that I am using what we call automatic text wrap. So automatic text wrap means that I don't press the Enter key until I get to the end of a paragraph. Now I have a keying error there. I'm going to show you how to fix that in a minute because that may happen as you're keying letters. But here's what I wanted you to understand, that I did not press Enter because I'm not going to press Enter until I get to the end of a paragraph. And this paragraph is more than one line. So now I press the Enter key, and there's my extra line with my paragraph spacing. And as you're looking at those wavy lines, as I said before, I will show you how to get rid of those and why those are there. Notice also I'm only pressing the spacebar one time after I end a sentence with a period. So for years and years, the training was that you would press the space bar after sentences. Now the new methodology is just to press the space bar one time. That is because of the fonts that are used inside of Word and other programs, and because many documents now are what we call digital documents. They're never printed out. So we use a different type of font. And with the fonts used today in computer programs, only one space is necessary between sentences. I'm going to press Enter again. Now this is going to be the closing. In this case, I'm going to press the Enter key 2 times before I key my name because I want to leave space for the signature. And there's my document. Now before I save it, let's take a look at what we have going on here. So I have a green line. Green line is a grammar error. Most likely the green line for the grammar error is there because the sentence doesn't make sense because I have 2 words that are misspelled. I can tell the misspelled words because they have a red wavy underline. This word is supposed to be believe. Now I could go back and edit that myself using the backspace or the delete key, but I'm going to use a shortcut. What I'm going to do is move my mouse. Notice because I'm moving my mouse over text, it looks like an I-beam. Typically we use the left mouse button, but in order to open a shortcut menu that will help us quickly perform commands, I'm going to actually right-click on my mouse. And because I've clicked in a misspelled word, the shortcut menu that comes up will help me with correcting that spelling. So notice that I can come here, there's the correct spelling. Now I'm going to left-click. So I right-click to open the shortcut menu, I left-click in order to correct it. Now this is supposed to be roll, so I'm going to right-click, left-click, and now the green line also disappears. So I'm finished with my letter, but I need to go back and I need to fix that spacing in the addresses. So to do that, we're going to change the style. Let's talk about what style means. Notice that I'm in the Home tab, and that's the tab that you want to stay in most often. And that's the tab that will always be open when you create a new document. Inside that Home tab, there is a Styles group And notice that normal is selected. I can see it's selected because it has the yellow line around it. Normal is the definition of how your information looks when you key that. So that means font is measured in points, and our default font is a point size of 11 because that is a very easily readable font that you'll want to use in your business type documents. You'll also notice that the text is left aligned, and even though we can't see the setting here, the paragraph spacing is turned on, and that creates a little bit more than a line spacing between paragraphs. That paragraph spacing, as we said before, works very well in our document except between the lines in the address. So we're going to change just in the sender's address and the recipient address the style from normal to no spacing. To change the style, I need to select the parts of the document I want to change to that style. So I'm going to need to choose the first 2 lines of the sender's address. Typically, most people, when they learn to use a mouse to select, they do it in this manner. They drag across the text. I want to show you another method. I'm going to click outside of that because some people have difficulty. They may choose either too much or too little when they're using that method. A very easy way to select text in a Word document is to move your mouse over to the left margin. And when you move your mouse over, it will turn into an arrow that points up and to the right, and then you are in what we call the selection area. It means that your mouse is now set up in a way that it's very easy to select from your document. So in this case, because we want to select the first 2 lines, I'm here in the selection area. I'll just simply press and hold down on my left mouse button. I'll keep my left mouse button pressed down, drag down, and then release. Now I have both of those lines selected. And then all I need to do is click no spacing. It's as simple as that. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the recipient address. Moving over here to the selection area, selecting them, and then clicking no spacing. And then finally, I just want to click somewhere in the document to unselect that. So as you create letters, this will become very simple for you. You'll know to key the letter and then just to go back, select the first 2 lines of the sender's address, the first 2 lines of the recipient address, and turn on no spacing. Now that you know how to key a letter in Word, you may want to learn more about Word. To learn more about Word, you may attend the Word 1 class or view the pre-recorded Word 1 Part 1 and Word 1 Part 2 classes on the My Recovery Works website.